Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the privilege of your subscription. So what I'm going to talk about today is the simple technique that I use to fix a warped guitar pickup trim ring. And specifically, I'll be fixing a trim ring for a humbucker. This technique works on pretty much any kind of pickup ring as long as it's made out of plastic. And it's fairly common if you've, and this is something you've probably seen before if you've been playing guitars long enough and have owned a lot of guitars over the years. You'll see the occasional pickup ring that has warped, and it almost looks like it was subjected to extreme heat, which caused the sides to flex out or bow out. And this is fairly common. I see it quite a bit. Now you're probably wondering, why would you bother to fix a trim ring when you can simply replace it with a brand new one? Well, that's certainly an option, but for folks who are trying to maintain the originality of a vintage instrument, they may have no choice but to try to fix that trim ring, and this is the method that I use to do it. Doesn't always work, but it's definitely worth trying before you replace the ring if you're trying to keep all the parts OEM. So let's jump in and get started. The first thing I've got to do is make a jig, and this jig will consist of a piece of plywood that's about 6 inches wide, 9 inches long, and at least ½ an inch thick. And this is what I'm going to attach the pickup ring to as I make the repair. I'm also going to need 2 strips of hardwood, square strips, and each strip will need to have one surface planed absolutely flat, which will make sense here in a minute. After I repair this bobbin and straighten the sides out so that they aren't warped, there's a chance that those mounting holes won't line up with the holes that are drilled into the body from mounting the ring. So to prevent that from happening, before I make the repair, I'm going to mark the current location of where those mounting holes need to be on this sheet of scrap plywood. Then I can drill pilot holes and mount the pickup ring right to that sheet of plywood with the original location for the mounting holes being maintained. Then I can make the repair knowing that those holes aren't going to move, because I will make the repair while the ring is mounted to that sheet of plywood. With the pickup ring attached to the plywood, I'm going to attach the strips of wood, and I've already pre-drilled those strips of wood with a couple of pilot holes and installed some wood screws into it. And when I install this, I want to make sure that the planed side of the strip is pressed up firmly against the side of that pickup ring. Then I'm going to attach a strip on the other side, and I'm going to do so that it's forcing the ring into a position that moves the sides, the warped sides, so that they are straight. So I'm kind of clamping it in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove one of the strips. And as you can see, the ring will bow out. But then what I'll do is I'll use a hot hair dryer to heat the plastic and thereby soften it. Now, you can also use a heat gun to do this, but you've got to be really careful because a heat gun can heat up and melt the plastic very, very quickly. So I think it's safer to use a hair dryer, but sometimes hair dryers don't get hot enough to heat the plastic. You could also hold it over a stove burner if you wanted to, but again, you'd have to be really careful. But then as soon as I've heated up the plastic, I'll reattach that strip of wood, and I will do so very quickly before that plastic has a chance to cool down. And then I'm just gonna heat up the plastic in this configuration. Make sure that the plastic is nice and soft without being melted. And once that's been heated up, I'll shut off the dryer and I'll let this jig with the ring sit for about an hour to thoroughly cool down. And when it cools down, it's going to hold that corrected shape. Now, after heating that pickup ring to soften the plastic, I'll let it sit for at least an hour, maybe a couple of hours, depending on how warm my shop is. But I want to let it cool down to room temperature. And once that's happened, I can remove those mounting screws and slide the pickup out of that jig, and it should hold its new corrected shape. All right, guys, well, I hope that you found this video to be useful, and maybe this is a technique that you'll be able to try sometime in the future if you ever encounter a guitar that has a plastic pickup trim ring that has become warped due to maybe the exposure to excessive heat. You know, a lot of guys tend to leave their guitars in a car during the hot summer months, and that can play a havoc with not only the plastic parts, but the glues and all the other finish materials and stuff like that. Anyway, I hope that you found the video useful, and if so, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope I've earned your subscription, so hit that subscribe button down below so you won't miss any future guitar building videos. And if you'd like to help support my channel financially, so that I can keep making these videos, you can head over to eGuitar Plans or to my Highline Guitars merch store. There's links in the description for both down below, and any purchase that you make is going to help support this channel financially, plus you'll be getting something in return. And if you want to keep it simple, you can always click the thanks button and leave a tip in the amount that you think is fair. At any rate, until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I hope you'll join me again for another guitar building video.